Welcome, 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 ladies and gentlemen. This is the Money Down Pod. I am Kayvon Izami. That is my guy, Shawn White, episode number 7, the college football recap here. And it's the best one yet because we're breaking down the first playoff rankings. If the season ended today, this is what the playoff would be. You all already know it. Now we're going to give you our feedback on it. But first, let me bring in my guy, Shawn White. Shawn, how are you doing today, bro?
Doing great. I'm really excited to do this show. Really excited to talk about this playoff and the breakdowns. And I got the hood on to start the show because I have some crazy picks out there that I'm feeling for the week. So it's going to be a good time when we throw those out there at the end of the show.
Yeah, and for people that don't know, the hood goes on when the picks get ugly, all right? You don't want people to see when you're making these picks. These are those, you hide, you don't show your face, but if you win, you take that hood off and you go running back to the window to cash it.
So I've got about 3 of them.
Yeah, okay. So, and Shawn's got a lot, so that's gonna make it fun today. When Shawn puts the hood on, he can't stop. He just keeps on rolling, bro.
Just degenerate style.
Degenerate style 101. No, in all seriousness, man, I literally look for sometimes bets that start at like 10:30 p.m., like the Pac-12 after dark, and it's so degenerate because the game's open. I'm like, this is when I love getting real with it. So we have some fun ones here. Shawn, let's get right into it, man, because look, first of all, I just want to say this. I know the playoffs get people heated. I know the ranking system get people here. And to be honest with you, it gets me a little heated too at times, and I sometimes have to take a step back and remember it's all going to play itself out. Like, that's the one thing here. And the way that they set this up, this was one of the first things I realized. The way that the committee set this up, they set it up in a way where they knew that all of this was going to play itself out. Oklahoma being at number 8, that's going to play itself out because they still have to play Oklahoma State, Baylor, Oklahoma State again, possibly Baylor again, depending on who makes the championship. Like, if Oklahoma runs the table, they will surely move up. But the biggest story, we'll get into all of that. The biggest story, though, is Cincinnati not even being 4, not even being 5. They're 6. Cincinnati being 6. Now, I said that they weren't going to be in the top 4 after those last 2 performances. Even though I said that, though, I still think it's an absolute disaster for college sports. And this is why. And I know I'm kind of contradicting myself here when I'm saying that. But I think it's ridiculous because Cincinnati being 6 has officially put the nail in the coffin that there will never, ever, ever be a non-Power 5 school to make the playoff under this iteration of the college football playoff. When it expands, that changes, but ever. Because Cincinnati already played their toughest game, which, by the way, their best win on the season is way better than Alabama's best win on the season. And I'm not saying Cincinnati's better than Alabama. I'm not. I'm just saying their best win is in Notre Dame. It's in Notre Dame. Alabama hasn't beaten anyone. Like Florida in the Swamp, where they won by 2, is like their best win right now. They don't have a good win, and it just officially put it out there because they're not jumping from 6 to 4 unless Ohio State loses again, unless Oregon loses again, unless Oklahoma loses again. They're not jumping to that spot unless total chaos happens. Your thoughts?
Yeah, first off, I believe that's exactly why the expansion needed to happen, because it's obvious that they don't value the non-Power 5, which I can make an argument that Cincinnati would get rolled by about 6 of those teams. So in reality, if you're looking for the best games, they are picking correctly, but it just kind of shows that their schedule doesn't matter in the long haul. They just didn't blow teams out enough for the eye test because they were going to have to do that. And the way they played these last 2 weeks, Navy especially, that was really bad. I mean, and then last week they couldn't even stop a team with no quarterback hardly. Mm-hmm. So
no, you're right.
So that's kind of where that came in. But you're right. They really did make it difficult because if Oklahoma wins out, Oklahoma's jumping everybody into the playoff. Like, they're going to make it. There's no way they're going to leave them off. And then you have Ohio State sitting there lurking. If they beat Michigan State, they're in, as long as they don't lose again. Michigan State's interesting because if they just lose to Ohio State, then that's real questionable because they're already ranked up there. So that's a real questionable one. But you can make the argument that they really haven't beat anyone other than Michigan then, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
How you want to do it. It's just a bunch of scenarios that make it very strange that the way they ranked it out. But I understand putting Bama in the top 4. Putting them at 2 was a little bit, whoa, now. All right, put them at 2. Really gave them the path to get in no matter what, as long as they win against Georgia, because they're not going to lose another game, I don't believe, unless it's at Georgia. So that puts that SEC 2 teams in perfectly because Georgia isn't going to fall out for losing to the number two team in the country. So the way they set it up to where it's going to be these big schools in again. They actually really kind of destroyed Wake Forest's chances too, because they're going to have ultimate chaos as well, even going undefeated in the ACC if they do that. So that's going to be an interesting one to watch as well. But Cincinnati and Wake Forest probably have the most to gripe about, but everything else is going to play out how it does, like it always does every year, because some of these teams are going to lose. Like you can't just rely on them all to stand pat how they are.
So real quick, and for you SEC haters and Alabama haters, you might want to close your ears when I say this. The committee is not stupid. They put Alabama at number 2, and it's setting yourself up for this, Shawn, where if they lose to Georgia, as long as it's a close game, I don't give a damn if it's a 7-5, 7-3, or a 36-34. As long as they lose by a small margin, they are officially setting themselves up to be able to put in a 2-loss Alabama into the playoff, because they're going to say, oh, they lost to the best team in the country by 2 points. That's why they put them up there. Shawn, what is the difference between Penn State and Mississippi State? There is no difference, except Mississippi State is the only 3-loss team that's ranked. The only 3-loss team that's ranked. Mississippi State lost to Memphis. Okay, Penn State lost to Illinois. Mississippi State lost to Memphis. Mississippi State barely beat Louisiana the first week of the season. They put Mississippi State at number 17 so that they can say, oh, look, there's another good win for Alabama. That they set this up all for that. That's why. There's no difference between Penn State and Mississippi State, except there's the only 3-loss team has to be an SEC school. And I'm not trying to act like some guy that's against the SEC. I love SEC football. It just makes no sense to me why they would put Alabama at 2 unless they are setting themselves up where they can keep Alabama in this top 4. Now, if Oregon runs the table, Ohio State runs the table, Oklahoma runs the table, and Alabama loses, then Alabama has no shot to stay in. Because even if they lose by 1, because they're not going to keep a 2-loss team over a 1-loss conference champion in Oregon, Ohio State, Oklahoma. They're just not going to do that. But if chaos does happen, they're setting it up where a 2-loss. Now, if they get blown out by Georgia, sayonara. I'm talking about a very close loss to Georgia. They're setting it up that way. Real quick, though, I want to talk about your point on Cincinnati not getting in because they're a big school. You're right. Look, at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, whether you want to look at it however you want to look at it, this is all about money, and they're going to put in the teams that make the most money, and that just happens to be the Alabamas, the Ohio States, the Clemsons, the Oklahomas, those type of schools. But I can make an argument that this is damaging college football, and I don't want to get too deep into this here, but it's damaging college football, Shawn, because it is completely destroying the meaning of everything else. Cincinnati is going to go on and have an unreal season, a season of a lifetime. And they're going to sit there at the end of the day and be disappointed as hell that they're playing in some New Year's Six Bowl, because that's what the college football playoff has done, where if you don't make the playoff, your season is over. You guys suck. Your fan base should be pissed. That's what it's turned into. And the fact that it's turned into that is why it has to be expanded. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it anymore. It has to be expanded immediately, because that is all it's about now. And really, when you have an undefeated season, or if Wake Forest goes 12-1, that's a phenomenal season. And all we're going to talk about is, they couldn't make the playoff. That sucks. You know?
Yeah, that's true. And I think it's going to be setting up for an interesting, with these scenarios playing out, I never really thought about Bama getting as a 2-loss. I just thought they put them there kind of as their whole, yeah, they're a better team. They're the number 2 team kind of thing. I thought if they were 2-loss and all these other schools had 1 loss, that it would be an automatic they're out.
I don't think so at
But
all.
but the way you made that case right there is kind of smart because honestly, Mississippi State's a bad football team.
Bro, what else have they done to honestly, if you look at the eye test, I could argue that Michigan State has looked just as good, if not better, than Alabama. I mean, I think Michigan State's looked great. You could argue,
Yep.
and then listen, the Oregon loss. The committee says that they take things into account like backup quarterback, stuff like that. Oregon didn't have Moorhead, their offensive coordinator, for that game. He was sick. They take that stuff against Stanford in the loss. They take that stuff into account. So, like, I get it. Oregon's been up and down, but what makes you think that? Like, it's just the fact that they put Alabama at number 2. It just makes me feel, man, that they're setting it up where if these other schools lose and this, they can be like, hey, look, they were the number 2 team in the country and they lost to the number 1 team by 3 points. We can't drop them 3 spots and kick them out of the top 4 now.
Yeah, well, I could. What if we have some wacky scenario where Ohio State beats Michigan State, but Michigan beats Ohio State this year? Like, I know everyone brings up the wacky scenarios, but like that's a wacky scenario right there. Michigan State would have the loss.
Your scenario actually that you said I didn't think about, and I think that's the one that's more wacky is what you said to start the show. If Ohio State beats Michigan State and Michigan State doesn't lose again, I think that becomes a phenomenal wacky scenario because Michigan State's sitting there saying, we lost to maybe the second best team in the country who went on to win the Big Ten. 1 loss. Why are we not in? Like, that to me is a very interesting scenario that I didn't think
you're going to have the undefeated ones behind them going, well, we didn't lose at all. Why are we not in? Like, if Wake runs the ACC, I know the ACC is weak. Let me start by saying this. The ACC is very weak. The Pac-12 is just as weak too, and Oregon's losses to Ohio State. If Wake runs the table in the ACC, then that's a Power 5 conference that you're just undefeated on, not in. But they're behind Cincinnati right now from that Notre Dame win. So it's a real fluid scenario with these undefeated teams. And like I said, in years past, it plays itself out. Most of the time, these teams end up losing the game. Not this many teams are going to go undefeated. That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
But if that was to happen, then that's kind of crazy to think about as well, especially if you see like an Ohio State beat a Michigan State and a Michigan beating Ohio State. Because then it's like Michigan State have the head-to-head.
Well, Ohio State would be out at that point.
Yeah, Ohio State would be out, but Michigan State their only win would be what, Michigan? Like, it's gonna be all eye test, and no one's gonna be happy afterwards. And it's just a good thing we're expanding out because this 4 team is obviously crunching it down, especially in a year like this where the only dominant team is really Georgia, and Georgia's offense is actually a huge question mark. Yeah. They're just dominant on defense is what it is, and they run the ball well. They're kind of a throwback to those LSU Alabama teams that used to play for the national title against each other in the BCS. Yeah. That's kind of how they have to play. So it's going to be interesting to see this year with how wacky everything's going. Like, can Cincinnati really jump people? Because Oklahoma, if they went out, they're jumping Cincinnati automatically.
And then my thing, if I was Wake Forest, my argument would be to your point of the ACC being weak, which you're right, it is. I would say, well, wasn't it weak last year when Clemson ran the table? They still got in. Is it just
and isn't Cincinnati's schedule weak in general too? I mean, did they play Notre Dame?
Like that's what I'm saying. So like if you're Wake Forest and you're a Power 5 conference and you go undefeated, it's like, yeah, I get it that they're Clemson and they have shown that they can perform on the big stage, but I mean, Clemson, if Clemson was Wake Forest right now, they would be in the top 4. You know it.
If Clemson was Wake Forest right now and they were winning by the same margin and Clemson's only loss was to Georgia week 1, they'd be in the top 4. Or they'd be 5.
They'd probably be number 2, man.
And Bama would be 3 and Michigan State, yep.
Yeah. They probably would. Right.
Oregon and Ohio State would be 5 and 6, and Cincinnati would be 7. That's exactly what it would be.
No doubt. But just because that name is Wake Forest, and just because we've never talked about Wake Forest and this and that, like it's to me, man. Like again, how many dollars, and I don't want to make it a whole money thing, but how many dollars is Wake Forest going to make them in the college football
Not a
playoff?
ton.
Like,
They're a small school. They're the smallest of the 4 big ones in North Carolina. That's for sure. I
that's
mean,
what I'm saying.
Duke has a small, they have a small kind of student base, but their brand is massive. So
yeah, no doubt. Oh yeah, I mean, because
not in football though, but in basketball.
Yeah.
Like in basketball, you take Duke in if you could, no matter what. Like they were trying so hard to get them in the tournament last year, and they were a bad team. So
no doubt about it. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if I was a Wake Forest fan, I'd be upset. Like, if I'm an Oklahoma fan, I'm not upset at all because just like we both said, if Oklahoma, all they have to do is take care of their business. They still have some, which I don't know that they will do, Shawn. First of all, Baylor's a damn good coach team. Oklahoma State has played surprisingly well, and they keep playing well. Like, they still have to play Iowa State. Like, there's still teams that they have to play, and then they're going to have to play either Baylor or Oklahoma State again. Like, I think that they will, and they should, but I wouldn't be surprised if Oklahoma slips up. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Oh, not at all. They've been shaky all year, really.
Yeah.
I mean, Caleb Williams coming in has helped them, but I mean, good God, you were down to Kansas at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
So don't give me y'all are just dominant right now. I mean,
and I think that the committee is taking that type of stuff into account. I think that's why you see Oklahoma at 8. I think that's a big reason, like you said, Cincinnati's at 6. They're looking at the eye test here. Now, one thing I do have to give credit to the committee for. I am very, very glad that they took head-to-head and said, this means something. Shawn, I was really worried that they weren't going to value head-to-head until the very end. And then have because I don't know if you remember, but one of the first years of the college football playoff, TCU and Baylor were in the conversation. And I think it was either Baylor beat TCU or TCU beat Baylor. And one of those was ranked ahead the whole year. And then on the final week, Baylor jumped TCU because Baylor had the head-to-head. They waited. And everyone was like, that's so weird. Now, neither of them ended up making it. They both were 5 and 6. But I'm very glad that they took head-to-head. A lot of people are going to say, Ohio State's better, the eye test, all that stuff. I don't give a damn. I really don't care. Oregon went into Ohio State Stadium and really beat the hell out of them. I mean, they really did. You cannot put Ohio State over them. Now, if they lose again, of course you can. But right now, you can't. And I'm glad that they did that. And they did that the whole way down. They put Oklahoma State over Baylor because Oklahoma State beat Baylor. They put Mississippi State over Kentucky because Mississippi State beat Kentucky. They valued head-to-head, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate that too. But one of the fatal flaws of this committee is the committee just kind of tries to get it right about who's playing the best and who has the best overall resume. So it would not shock me one bit the way you were throwing out that Bama thing is if Ohio State wins out, Oklahoma wins out, and they jump Oregon, both of them. It would not shock me one bit if that was to happen.
But if they do that,
I mean, they might have them ahead right now, but they'll use some kind of excuse. Oh, they're playing too many close games in the Pac-12. All this and that. Don't be shocked if that was to happen.
Well, I wouldn't be shocked one bit. I wouldn't be shocked
because then all of a sudden it would be, well, did you see Ohio State was breaking in a new quarterback? Did you see them beat Michigan State after they did? Did you see them beat Michigan? Did you see all this and that?
Oh, and
you can justify all sorts of ways. It can definitely happen. So don't be shocked if that was to happen.
Oh, the biggest thing would be, well, that happened week 2 of the season. You know, they've evolved since. It's all about how you lose in the not how you lose in the beginning. It's what you do at the end. I mean, you're so right. I wouldn't be shocked either, but that would have chaos. I mean, Oregon would riot. You go into the freaking Ohio State stadium and you dominate them and you don't get in. It's just there's so many things to take out of this, but one thing is, you're right, that could easily happen. Right now, though, at least they took that into matters. The other is they're setting Ohio State up for success to get in, even if they lose to Georgia, as long as the other things fall in place. And then the third and the most important is Cincinnati, man. It's just, if you're a non-Power 5 conference, you should have no hope until this thing gets expanded.
Yeah, absolutely. The expansion has to happen for those non-Power 5s to get in. It has to happen. And I mean, for all we know, they might get rolled. And that's the truth. I really don't think Cincinnati is that great of a team on the scale of things.
No.
I mean, if you're going eye test by everything, they are barely beating some of these bad teams. They did beat Notre Dame, but I honestly don't think Notre Dame's all that good this year. That's just my opinion of it. But I mean, the Cincinnati fans, they're going to be real upset about it, and then all the people that root for the little guys are going to be really upset about it. That's just how that goes. But you're all right. Bama being number 2 is a little kind of it's a little shaky up there because losing to Texas A&M, you're talking about them taking into account Oregon not having Joe Moorhead, an offensive coordinator.
Yep.
Well, they're losing to Texas A&M on their backup quarterback. So I don't want to hear. I mean, A&M has NFL players everywhere. I mean, I love to watch A&M. They're one of my favorite teams to watch. Their defense is probably 9 deep in NFL players in the top 3 rounds of the draft whenever they come out. So I love to watch them. But I mean, they shouldn't have been scoring like that on Alabama, especially their backup. So
no doubt. Imagine this, man. Imagine if A&M didn't lose to Mississippi State. They would be 7-1 right now. And then what? They would have to put A&M would have to go over Bama, right?
On the head-to-head, yeah. And then Mississippi State wouldn't be anywhere near no 17 either, because I guess that's the criteria they're putting them in as a 3-loss.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're just saying, okay, we're having 1 3-loss team, and it's going to be the team that Bama beats, so that we can up Bama's
that Bama
resume.
beat, and then also beat the team that beat Bama to make it look like it was a huge warfare going on out there. When Mississippi State has a bunch of cowbells, and that's about it.
Yeah, and they beat Kentucky. Whoop-de-doo. Kentucky literally cannot move Kentucky's quarterback has like the worst passer rating I've seen in college. Like, he cannot throw the football. It's just Kentucky is not as good as everyone thought.
Yeah. Check down Charlie does a bunch of check downs is what it is. He has an NFL wide receiver that's going to be a second, third round pick that plays a lot like a Kadarius Toney type that takes 4-yard passes and makes them into 10. And then their running back solid, and then he does check downs the whole rest of the time. So that's kind of Kentucky's offense. They've done well in the lines, but they're not. They were overrated.
They always do well in the lines.
Yeah, they were overrated all year too. So
yeah, but anyways, that's just like that. That's my whole spiel of it. That's the whole thing I'm seeing here, and I get it, and I agree with you. I don't think Cincinnati is a top 4 team. I don't think that. I'm just saying that. Other than these last 2 weeks, Cincinnati has pretty much done every possible thing that the committee could ask for. And it's not their fault. It's not their fault Indiana just happened to suck this year. Indiana was a really good team. They went into Indiana, they beat them. They went into Notre Dame, they beat them. I'm not calling for them to be in the top 4, but I do think it would have been something for them to at least been right there to start. And then these other teams try and get in, but it's just not going to happen. It's just got to be expanded, and that is what it is,
Yeah, it's going to have to be absolute chaos for them to get in. It's going to have to be.
They're not getting in now. There's no shot.
No, I've been trying to think of a scenario in which they would. It would have to be Wake would have to lose. Oklahoma probably has to lose. I guess
Oregon would have to lose. Ohio State would have to lose.
Oregon would have to lose, and Bama would have to lose to Georgia, and then. Yeah, that'd be about
a 2-loss Bama would get in over an undefeated Cincinnati. I can promise you that.
Yeah,
the 2-loss Bama would get in over Cincinnati. I mean, we could just see it now, bro. Especially if that matchup is a 1-4 Georgia Bama first round. Oh, they're not canceling that one out.
Yeah, it'd be a rematch. It'd be like,
it would be. Yeah,
it was so close.
It was so close. We've got to see them again on the biggest stage.
Or no, I don't even know if they do that. I swear they put Bama at 3 to try to get that in the championship game.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right.
I mean, that's how it works. Yeah. Until this goes to 12 teams.
Which I hope it does by next year. I really hope it does by next year.
They should put it through. I don't know why. I mean, when have you ever seen companies like this be like, oh, money? I don't like that.
Something's up with it, man, because it looked like it was going fast through. And then that Texas-Oklahoma news dropped, and everything stopped there. So something's up with that right now, but it's got to go through by next season.
Well, yeah, I don't think they're going to let Texas and Oklahoma into the SEC without the playoff expanding, because I think that Texas and Oklahoma technically should have to play till 2024, I believe.
2025 is when their contract runs out.
Yeah, they're going to let them go by next year, but there's no way they're going to get to go without the playoff being expanded, because then all of a sudden you're going to be like, well, you got the SEC and Big 12's best 2 teams, or biggest brands at least. Yeah. Their best team, and then a brand that thinks they're their best team.
Well, they're not even going to freaking if Oklahoma maybe, but if they don't expand it, let's just say this: Texas will never sniff the playoff in the SEC if they don't expand that. And honestly, Oklahoma is going to have a hard time to sniff that playoff too. in the SEC. I mean, the schedule is a gauntlet. That's why for those two, they have to expand it if those two even want a chance to make the playoff in the SEC.
I mean, I'll go out and do this. It's going to make Texas fans mad if they ever hear this. So if you are, then please like and comment. Well, dislike and comment if you want. Go ahead and dislike and comment, and we can talk about it. I'm telling you, Texas is so overrated as a program. They're going to go to the SEC, and I'll call this right now. First few years, they're going to look like the Vanderbilts in that conference. They're going to lose. I mean, a lot of games.
Oh, for sure.
They're going to lose a ton of games. Arkansas ran up in there and was killing them. And I mean, that's Arkansas. That's a mid-tier SEC team.
Yep.
They're going to get waxed in the SEC, especially these first few years. So I hope they're ready for losing, because I know they have this weird image about themselves that they think they're this great team. I'll tell you what, Tennessee has that same image about themselves, and I'm not going to lie to you, Tennessee might wax them if they come in there. So
I think Tennessee's on the up. And the the only thing Texas has going for them is their coach Sark, who I really like. Sark is a good coach.
I mean, I'm seeing people on Twitter talking about firing Sark already. That's how delusional some of that fan base is. So you ready to go? I'm telling you.
If they fire Sark, they will never, ever, ever get back to the program that they think they are. And I don't even know if Sark will be able to get there, but I can tell you this. Sark is a good coach, and if they give him time, he will get it right. But it's going to take time, especially being in the SEC. Tennessee, on the other hand, man, Tennessee was one of my. I think Tennessee goes into Kentucky this week. I think they dominate Kentucky.
Is that a pick 'em?
That is a pick 'em, yeah.
It's a pick 'em, yeah.
I was thinking about making that as one of my possible third and shorts, and I mean, I just don't see any. What I've seen out of Tennessee compared to what I've seen out of Kentucky, that shouldn't even be a ball game.
Yep.
You never know, because it's in Kentucky and all that stuff. But I actually like Tennessee's trajectory. Now, it's Tennessee; they could fall right off by the next year. But I agree. I think Tennessee would dominate Texas right now. I mean,
if you're Texas and you come into the SEC, who do you think you're better than off the rip? Vanderbilt, Missouri.
Yep, that's it.
I mean, honestly, think about it.
No, that's it.
You're going to go head-to-head with Florida? I mean, y'all can't stop anyone in the Big 12.
Yeah, no, Florida's beating it.
Arkansas has already beat them this year. They're on the upswing. Mississippi State and Mississippi, they're both – I mean, Lane's going to run up 60 points on you, especially these first few years when you're getting recruits.
Yep.
I mean, it's no question. LSU's down right now. LSU might run up in there and run on them. Like
Texas A&M, who, by the way, for some reason, Texas fans think that Texas A&M is like their little brother. Texas A&M would – Texas A&M is such a better program than Texas. And I'm not here to rag on Texas. I like what they're doing with Sark, but they are nowhere near any program in the SEC other than Missouri and Vanderbilt. That's it. Now, basketball-wise, they're going to go in there and have some fun. I mean, I like basketball. Texas is doing a good job with basketball, even though they let go of homeboy Shaka Smart. I think that was a good idea. We'll get into that during call. That he wasn't really the fit that Texas wanted. But football-wise, nah. Auburn, man, dude, Brian Harsin, incredible hire by Auburn. He is showing already in his first year he can coach football, bro. What he's doing with Bo Nix, Bo Nix looks like a completely different player.
Yeah, Bo Nix was trash before. He's looking good this year.
Terrible. He's looking good this year. Brian Harsin's coaching his butt off in Auburn right now. Think about this, man. Auburn, they lost to Penn State on whiteout night. Everyone knows how hard it is to play Penn State on whiteout night, and that was early in the season. I think
that was with Clifford healthy. Clifford was healthy.
Yep, Clifford was healthy. That was early in the season, and then they lost to Georgia by the lowest margin anyone else. They lost 34-10, and as crazy as that sounds, that is honestly the lowest margin that Georgia's beaten anyone so far this season.
Did you see Georgia's favored by 39.5 this week on Missouri?
Dude, an automatic bet Georgia first half. I don't give a damn what it is. I guarantee you they cover it. I guarantee you they cover it. They're going to destroy Missouri. They're going to destroy them. The only reason why they might not cover the 40 is because the backups might be in by the third quarter.
I don't know. Georgia has I think it's 9 5-stars. It's more than that. Maybe it's more. No, that's on defense. I think they have more than that in general.
I think it's 9 total.
I thought it was 9 on defense.
Maybe it's 15 I saw. I saw that Georgia has more 5-stars than the Pac-12 has combined.
And the ACC, yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy, man.
It's 9. It's 9 because I think the Big Ten has 14 total.
That's where I got the 15 number.
And the SEC has something like 40 or 50, something like that. But then Georgia has 9 by themselves or something.
Yeah, they're incredible, man. That's a great football team. It will be a massive disappointment if they don't win it all. I don't care if they lose to Bama. I don't care if they lose to. I don't care who they lose to. If they lose, it will be a massive disappointment for Kirby Smart. It really will be. If he doesn't win this year with this team, when is he ever going to win?
Because I've not been a big buyer on Kirby either because I don't think Kirby's like coaching wise. I don't buy Kirby all that much. I think Kirby did a lot of recruiting for Saban and then kind of standing on the sideline and yelling at people while Saban did all the scheming.
Yeah.
That's my opinion of him. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm not with the Alabama program or nothing. But that's just kind of the gist I got of him. But his offenses have been archaic. Like, I hate his offenses. So that's something I always watch for, and I always feel like they underachieve because of stuff like that. I hated how they ran Fields out. It's like, come on, you got to treat your 5-star quarterback better, and maybe they'll do that next year because they got a 5-star coming in and just broke Trevor Lawrence's high school records. So maybe he'll come in and treat him differently. But I mean, this is the year. You're right about that because they have like every draft prospect 5-star, like their defense is insane. So it'll be interesting to see. I really do want to see. I want to see Oklahoma play them. I want to see Lincoln's offense go against them.
Yeah, that would actually be really fun. That would be very fun to see that. I don't know. I would actually kind of worry about Caleb Williams in that moment. He's a good player. He's really talented.
He's just young.
Yeah, you can just tell he's young and he might get eaten alive. But by the end of the year, he might be good to go there. But yeah, that would be fun. And the other thing is real quick to that is it's also a down year for. I know Bama's still really good, but it still is kind of a down year for Bama. Like they don't have the weapons on offense like they usually do. Like they still have some weapons. They still have a couple receivers that are really good, but it's not like last year, that's for sure. Their defense isn't that great. Like it's the year to get it. Clemson's out of the picture. It's the year to get it done. If they're going to do it, it's got to be this year.
Yeah, that's true. And plus, I don't buy Ohio State beating them at all if they were to make it in because, like I said, I think Stroud's going to be missing high every time because he's under pressure. So. And I don't think you run the ball on Georgia at all. I think if you're going to beat Georgia, you better spread it out, and your quarterback better be hitting them in stride every time into some tight windows. That's kind of how you're going to have to beat Georgia.
You're not running on Georgia.
Honestly, you're not going to run on them.
I don't know if Ohio State beats Michigan State. To be honest with you, I really don't.
Yeah, that's going to be a game.
I think Michigan State has the exact game plan. Michigan State's going to do what Oregon did, and they're going to do it better because they have a better running back. They have a really good offensive line. The only thing is Ohio State's defense is better now. It's getting much better. Maybe they'll be prepared for it, but I am not positive that they'll be able to beat Michigan State. And we'll get into that. Anything else you want to talk about with the playoff here?
I think it's going to be fun to watch it play out. Really, I really don't have anything specific. Yeah, I really don't have anything specific. Like I said, Oklahoma's going to come up there. It's going to be interesting to see what happens if Wake wins out. I kind of want to see what they do if Wake was to come in and just destroy UNC this week. I think that would be a very interesting turn to see how that goes. So that's something I want to watch. I know maybe you're going to be on the other side of that. We'll talk about that a little bit, but
yeah,
I think if they come in and roll UNC, I think that's kind of a statement that we need to see. And other than that, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Cincinnati fans and how Cincinnati responds this week. Let's see if Cincinnati comes out and rolls a Tulsa team that they need to roll too, because if they keep winning close, it's not going to matter either way. So I'm curious to see if they kind of sulk or if they like come out and like, okay, let me prove it to you.
Well, I'll tell you what, and ESPN and Game Day is spicing it up. They're going to Cincinnati this week for a Cincinnati-Tulsa game, but they're going there because they knew that the ranking was coming out. They can now go interview Luke Fickell, ask him about it. They can gauge they're spicing it up now that they're there. How does Cincinnati feel about it? They know what they're doing, so we'll find out. But yeah, no, you're right. I think Wake should win, but it just feels fishy this week. It feels very, very fishy. And I mean, you could the sharp guys in Vegas are on UNC.
Yeah,
They're on
Vegas has UNC favored, so
which is right there. It's telling you something, bro. It is telling that's a rat line, bro. That's a stanky line. You know,
and when we were talking, I think it was by 2. It's 2.5 now. So,
it's going up. I'm telling you, the sharp guys are on UNC. They are all over UNC. They think that UNC is going to beat Wake, and from what Vegas is showing, it. I mean that's seriously what you call a stank line, bro. Like that's a weird stinky line that I don't get, but we'll see. There's still a lot of great stuff that number 12 and 13, Auburn, Texas A&M, they play this week. That's going to be fascinating. If Texas A&M wins, that helps Alabama. Texas A&M keeps on winning. But if Auburn wins, that also could help Alabama because then Auburn can beat them down the road if they keep on winning. So there's a lot of storylines to follow moving
who does Mississippi State have this week? Are they off?
Let's see here.
Because I didn't see their line, so they might be off.
Yeah, they are. No, they're at Arkansas. Oh, yeah, I saw that. They're at Arkansas. They are favored by, I think Arkansas is favored by 4.
Yeah, there's the number 17 team in the country right there. Arkansas just favored by 4 over them. You know? Yeah, good placement for them.
Bro, I mean, come on, man. Like, they are the only 3-loss team in the – Wisconsin is number 21. They're the other 3-loss team, but they're the highest ranked 3-loss team, I should say.
Yeah. That's just – I just can't buy Mississippi State at all. I mean, I love Leach as a coach. He's hilarious.
To give you an idea, bro, the AP Top 25 does not have Mississippi State in it.
Oh, yeah.
Mississippi State is not in the AP Top 25. Penn State is, but the college football
that doesn't fit what they need. Yeah,
no, doesn't fit, man. It's all about the narratives. It's all about the storylines. They got to put them in there.
All right, so you want to hit some third and short, third and long, and I have a bunch of lines that I'd like to go over.
Yeah, we got a lot, so let's move into that here. And take the floor, my man.
All right, so my third and short this week, my lock. That's what we do.
For those that sorry to interrupt. Those that are new, what this is, just to explain it, we do every week a betting segment, and we call it third and short and third and long. So our third and short are our favorite picks. Like those are our picks that we fully believe are going to win. We've got a couple this week. Then we got some third and longs, and what that is, that's more of a long shot. That's more of like it's going to be tough, but we think we could do it. It's much harder. It's not like go crazy on it, but it's possible.
Yeah, how I like to compare it is we're the money down. So money down's third down. You convert them. You keep the offense on. You get them off the field as a defense. That's kind of how you win games in football. So the third and short, it should be we're running our big time running back up there, 3rd and 2. We've got Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers back there ready to convert. Our third and long's more, all right, it's 3rd and 12 right here, and you got Aaron Donald and Von Miller coming after you on this pass rush. Ramsey's out there locking your receiver down. Are you going to convert this? That's kind of how I like to look at it for that.
That's a good way of describing it right there.
So my third and short, my automatic, my favorite bet this week, I love Oklahoma -3.5 against West Virginia. I don't think West Virginia is good enough to hang with them. I think Oklahoma's going to want to start their campaign off right here of moving up with showing, hey, we're a much better team. We're going to come out and dominate and start getting ready for these tougher games we have down the road. So I love Oklahoma -3.5 against West Virginia.
Awesome. Love that one. Oklahoma should roll them. Oklahoma should absolutely roll them. So I'm with you on that. All right. So my third and short is an interesting one. It's a different type of play here. And I'm going over 36.5 UNC and Wake Forest first half. Okay. Look, I like the over in the game too, but it's 76 and that's really high. And it probably will go over 76, like in all likelihood. But 36.5 is perfect, man, because they're going to come out swinging. UNC is going to come out knowing they cannot get down on Wake, and they're going to trade points, and I think it's going to be a total shootout. I think both teams will have at least 20 points going into halftime. It's my favorite bet, man. I really like it. Over 36.5. Another one I have, and then we'll just pass back to you, and you could say that this is because it's a big spread. I love Arizona State -8.5 against USC. USC just lost their best player in Drake London. Or some people will say it's even the best receiver in the country. Like that's tough, man. USC already has nothing to play for. You lose him. Arizona State, they're really pissed off because they played about the worst first half they could have played against Washington State last week. They came back in the second half roaring back, but they was so bad. They were down 24-0 in the first half. Like they played so bad. Herm Edwards, this team fights for him. They're not just a team that's going to quit and roll over. They still have some things that they can play for. They're going to come out at 10:30 on Saturday night and absolutely crush USC. Love -8.5 against Arizona State.
Yeah, I love that for sure because Drake London, like, he was the offense. I mean, they were targeting him, like 20 times a game? He was getting like 14, 15 catches. I mean, he was
everything.
He was their whole offense. He was like the Derrick Henry for them and with the Titans. He's their whole offense. And they don't have and Slovis ain't going to be able to dime it up to anyone else. No. So, I mean, that's a great pick you have there. I was going to circle back a little bit to you on this. On that Wake UNC game, I do like that over in general. I think it's like a 45-42 type game.
Yeah, no, I agree. But
I think on the spread, we're on opposite sides because I think you're taking UNC, right?
No. I'm not taking UNC.
You think Wake is going to win?
I'm just saying I know the sharps are taking USC, and it just is. There's something weird about it. Like I wish I could take Wake Forest, but the way that UNC is favorite, the way that all these sharp guys are on it, the way that it keeps going up, it scares me. And it makes me think UNC is going to win this game. But I'm rooting for Wake. I want Wake to keep winning. I want them to keep going undefeated. So I'm away from that.
Oh, so that's just a stay away game.
Yeah, it's just a stay away.
Because I actually like Wake plus 2.5. I think they beat UNC this week.
I hope you're right. I really do. I want them to keep going.
And I mean, I'm a UNC fan in basketball, and I know a lot of UNC fans, but Sam Howell, he's just been a little shaky for me this year. And honestly, I don't think they can stop anybody. So Wake Forest is definitely going to put the points up on them. It's just going to be, I mean, but UNC might get up for this game. So that is the one thing you got to look for. But I do think Wake ends up winning that. So some other smaller locks I had that I was really into. Like I said, I really like the lines this week, even though the games aren't that good. So
sometimes that's the best.
I like Michigan State -3 against Purdue. I feel like that's like a runaway game. Like they might just end up beating the brakes off Purdue. Purdue could wake up and really want to show out, and David Bell might catch a bunch of balls on that secondary. But I just feel like Michigan State's going to come out and really run it up on them.
Yeah, I agree. No, I love that one. I get it. Everyone's like, it's the total trap game. You come off a massive win like that and you go down. I just don't think Purdue's that good. I think Michigan State's really good. I agree. I don't see that happening. So I'm with you on that. Do you have any other ones that you want to?
Oh yeah, one more lock I have that I just have to do. That I mean, if we get some Nebraska fans in here, I'm sorry. I'm just going to destroy you every week. Ohio State -14.5. They're going to blow y'all out. I'm sorry to tell you, it's going to happen. I mean, Nebraska's a bad team. They have a huge fan base. They're a little delusional on how good they're supposed to be, but they're going to get ran out by Ohio State, and that's just how it's going to be. So that's another lock I have. Ohio State -14.5. It's going to happen.
I will tell you this, man. There is one thing. So I look at this stat. It's called expected wins over actual wins. Nebraska is expected to be 6-3. Like they have had some terrible losses. So every game that they've lost has been within one possession. So like I get it. They're a delusional fan base because they're not what they used to be, and it's going to be really hard to get back there. But I think they're stupid for wanting Scott Frost's head. Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
First of all, they should have beat Michigan. They played Michigan. They really, really almost beat Oklahoma. Like all of these losses, it just feels like they are getting things right. But then, of course, at home, they go and blow an egg and lose by 3 to Purdue. Like, those are the things where I see why the fan base is like, Scott Frost has got to go. Like, that's the stuff. But the way they played in some of these games, like, I'm not saying they're going to beat Ohio State. They're not. And I think Ohio State will cover that spread. I do think that's actually going to be a high-scoring game. I like the over in that. But I just think Nebraska's looked at differently this year. Their record should be way better than it is. They've had some weird losses.
Yeah, they have. But I mean, Ohio State, going on why I love that bet. I mean, I know I was just making fun of Nebraska. It's just fun to do for me. But
Yeah,
the real reason on Ohio State, they really play against really good teams. They seem to struggle, Like Penn State gave them some issues.
yeah,
Whenever you can get some heat on Stroud, he struggles.
yeah.
I just don't think Nebraska's going to be able to do it because Ohio State's been
They
blowing out
beat
the
up on the
Rutgers.
yeah.
Yeah, they beat up on these teams. I just think it's going to be a 40-14 game, like in the third quarter.
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to be how it is.
Well, I'll tell you what, they need to because I ain't a big believer in you, Ohio State. All right, go to the third and long. What you got?
All right, so I got two third and longs, and then I have one Hail Mary.
Okay.
so
I like it. That's a good way
so
to put it.
I'll alternate with you. So my favorite third and long I have, which honestly I could almost put into the lock category, but it's a bigger spread, so I put it in third and long. I love Georgia Tech +10 against Miami.
That's mine too.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how Miami can be favored by 10 on really anyone right now. I know they have two good wins right there, but I mean, it's real shaky. Their backup quarterback, Bubba Bolden, in the secondary's out.
Yep.
I mean, I just like Georgia Tech +10 right there. Cover that spread, maybe even win outright, but definitely to cover the spread. I love them.
Yep. I am with that's the one I wrote down. That is my third and long. Look, it's just Miami has played trap to the last two teams, NC State, Pitt. Now they come home and they're the ones that get trapped by Georgia Tech. It's literally betting 101. I love it. I'm totally with you on that. One of mine that I have here that I said I was going to say another one. I'm not confident on this one, so I mean, don't go crazy on this, but I will be on Liberty +10. It's actually started at +11. It's all the way down to +9.5 now. So clearly some people agree with me on this that they think Liberty can keep it close because the line's moving down. Look, Liberty, they're a very interesting team. Ole Miss is just really banged up right now. They're really banged up. I mean, Matt Corral is definitely playing injured. You can just tell. I just think that their offense, I think Ole Miss's defense is terrible. I think their offense is going to be able to score some points. And I think it could be a fun, like 7-8 point type game. Maybe Ole Miss ends up pulling away and winning by like 14 at the end. But I do think Liberty might be able to keep it close for majority of that game.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that game because all my fellow draft nuts out there, like I am, seeing Malik Willis against Corral. That's like two of the top 5 quarterback prospects. It's going to be a good game to watch just for quarterback drafting in general. So that's going to be a fun one. I definitely could see them keeping that close and him coming out really ready to play, especially with all the Ole Miss's injuries. So I do like that as a third and long.
What you got?
I have a scary third and long right here that's a little bit scary. It's not quite a hide your face type one, but I kind of like Illinois +14.5 against Minnesota.
Okay.
Illinois goes out and plays hard, man.
They do.
So, and Minnesota, I don't think it's the type of team that's going to blow anyone out right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's
a big spread. That's a big spread for Minnesota to be able to just run somebody out the building. Illinois plays hard. I like the +14.5 as a third and long. I'm not going to guarantee that or anything, but it's definitely a convertible third down.
Yeah. That's an interesting one, man. I like that. That's good. Minnesota's been playing good football. Man, if they didn't have that stinker loss to Bowling Green, they would only have one loss to Ohio State at the beginning of the season. So, but you're right. Illinois shows up and plays hard. I have one more that I do want to say here, and this is for all my Conference USA lovers, my Conference USA nuts. Give me UTEP +11 at the undefeated UTSA. Listen, if you are a football nerd, if you just love football, turn to ESPN2 at 10:30 on Saturday night and watch this game. I'm so mad that UTEP lost to FAU last week. Otherwise, this would have been the battle of the undefeateds. But UTSA, bro, they are a fun team to watch. I think UTSA wins, but I think UTEP can keep it close. Give me the UTEP +11.
I actually am really excited to watch that game because UTSA has a running back that is crazy. He's going to go top 2, maybe third round in the NFL draft. He is really, really good. So keep in watch out for him because he's going to be fun to watch. I was actually looking for this line because I didn't write the line down because it's almost so crazy I might throw up on it. So give me 1 second.
What is it?
Give me 1 second. Let me find this line because I lost it.
Another thing while he's looking at that, another thing about UTSA, for those of you guys that like coaches out there to like following coaches' stories, they have an up and coming coach that is going to be out there on names for some of these big shot schools. I would follow that guy. Watch him. He is a coach that's going to be out there. Coaches and schools are going to be looking at him. He's done a great job with UTSA. I mean, UTSA is a newer program, and the fact that he's already turned this program into a top 25 undefeated school is just wild. And for those that didn't watch the UTEP game, let me know when you have it, Shawn. I'll let you have it. But for those that didn't watch UTEP, see, I like watching UTEP. That was one of the craziest endings to a game against FAU last week. They were down like 15. No, they were down like 20 with a couple minutes left. They ended up getting a Hail Mary, getting an onside kick, and then getting another Hail Mary to end up losing by 3 points, but they covered the spread, which was pretty phenomenal by them. To stay on the bad beat for them, Shawn, I don't know if you saw this. The Clemson-Florida State ending was one of the worst bad beats in the history of sports. That is going to go at the top of SVP's bad beat segment. I mean, not only did it bad beat the spread, but it bad beat the over too. I mean, that was just really, really bad. Yo, if you tell me the game, I'm sure I can find it for you right here.
Yo, I can't find the line for some reason. I had it beforehand. I think it was 9, but I'm not sure.
What is the game?
So this is going to be bad. So let me put the hood on. I'm going to be on a Hail Mary throw. Arizona to keep it close with Cal this weekend.
I don't think that's a bad bet at all.
That is scary. Arizona has lost I don't know how long, and I'd honestly like to call that this might be the one that snaps their like 20-some game losing streak. They might win. So that's where I'm
12.
At. Oh yeah, it's 12. I thought I'd seen 9, so I like it even better at 12. I mean, that's a scary one.
I love it, bro. I'll put my hood on with you. I'll go bet that shit with you right away, dude. That is one of those cover up, let's go. And that is a fun one, bro. That you hide, you don't let anyone see you, bro. You cover, put the glasses on, act like you're hungover or something, but I love it.
Yeah, so Cal won last week against Oregon State. They're coming off of like a big game they played. And I know their quarterback's pretty solid. Yeah. But Arizona, I mean, they've been trying to fight. They're just not that talented. But I feel like this might be a nice trap spot for them to come in, get their first victory of the year, at least keep it close enough to cover the spread. And it's one of those where you might be throwing up the whole time that you bet it. It's a tough game. I had the hood on to start the show because I knew I was going to be on it. Yeah. It's a rough game, and that's where we're at. I couldn't even find the freaking line. So
that's how you know it's one of those. Yeah, man, that's good stuff though. I love that. So those are our picks. You know, follow, fade, do what you want, but we will talk about them next week and see how we did, see how things went. And Shawn, anything else before we end the show here?
Yeah, give us a like, subscribe to the YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, we should be on iTunes and Spotify with this episode right here. So if you're listening from that, be sure to give us a rate review. Yeah, 5-star review. Also, like I said, we just started this out. We're very new to this, so we're going to be improving. We'll take any feedback you can give us. So just make sure to give us what your thoughts are on the podcast, some things we can improve on, some things you like, and ride with us because we'll just keep improving as you keep listening. So thanks for everyone.
Yeah, no doubt. Seriously, just give us a like, give us a subscribe, and give us a comment. You know, like tell us what you think. Like even if it's mean, just say it. And we will talk about it. I promise you. If you want us to talk about Rice University, who they're playing, we will talk about it. Like we'll talk about your team. We'll go on it with you guys if you just let us know what you want to talk about. So we appreciate all of you guys. This is the Money Down Pod, episode number 7. I am Kayvon Izami. That's Shawn White. We broke down the first edition of the college football playoff. Let us know your thoughts. Are you mad about Cincinnati? Are you happy about Cincinnati? Thoughts about Bama? Let us know. We will react as we go. We appreciate you guys listening. We'll talk to you next week.